President Trump is in Davos, Switzerland at this hour, presumably resting after his busy first day at the World Economic Forum. The man behind the art of the deal tried to reassure nervous world leaders that his America First policy does not mean America alone, and that U.S. economic growth is good for business everywhere. Back here at home, the president's lawyer is trying to temper expectations about what the president is and is not willing to do with special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts is traveling with the president. Hello, John.
Brett, good evening to you from Davos, Switzerland, where President Trump came to sell the United States as a great place to do business. But it was foreign policy, not economic policy, that took center stage today as the president met with Israel's prime minister. It was the first meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu since the U.S. recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. The president with tough words for Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas.
We give them hundreds of millions of dollars in aid and support, tremendous numbers that nobody understands. That money is on the table, and that money is not going to them unless they sit down and negotiate peace.
In a speech 11 days ago, Abbas went ballistic over the planned move of the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, insulting President Trump, declaring the U.S. has disqualified itself from the peace process. At the UN today, Ambassador Nikki Haley delivered a harsh critique of Abbas.
A speech that indulges in outrageous and discredited conspiracy theories is not the speech of a person with the courage and the will to seek peace.
President Trump today confirmed that the U.S. is fast-tracking the embassy move and plans to have a small facility in Jerusalem open next year. The president insists that by taking the issue of Jerusalem off the table, the peace process could actually accelerate, a view shared by Netanyahu.
This is a historic decision that will be forever etched in the hearts of our people for generations to come. People say that this pushes peace backward. I say it pushes peace forward.
Earlier, President Trump met with UK Prime Minister Theresa May, declaring that despite her recent criticism of his retweeting bogus videos from a UK ultranationalist group, the relationship remains strong.
I think the feeling is mutual from the standpoint of liking each other a lot. And so that was a little bit of a false rumor out there. I just wanted to correct it.
The leaders also talk trade, a common theme here in Davos, as the U.S. delegation promotes its America First policies, hoping to placate skeptical leaders that America First does not equal protectionism.
What's good for the United States is good for the rest of the world in terms of growth.
From his bilateral meetings to an evening dinner he hosted with European CEOs, the president declared his first day here a success.
We are seeing tremendous investment, and today's been a very exciting day, very great day.
Before leaving for Davos, President Trump surprised reporters and his attorneys, saying off camera but on the record that he is looking forward to speaking with the special counsel Robert Mueller.
I'm looking forward to it, actually. There's been no collusion whatsoever. There's no obstruction whatsoever. And I'm looking forward to it. You know, again, I have to say, subject to my lawyers and all of that, but I would love to do it.
The president's Russia point person at the White House, attorney Ty Cobb, said the president spoke, quote, hurriedly as he was on his way out of the White House, but added talks are still underway for a possible interview. But sources familiar with the investigation tell Fox News there is great concern among the president's outside attorneys about him speaking with Mueller. In fact, the president's lead outside counsel, John Dowd, told Fox News tonight that he will be the one to make the decision whether or not President Trump sits for an interview with Robert Mueller. And Dowd says, as of now, he has not made that decision. Brett?
John Roberts in Davos early Friday morning. John, thanks.